Well, hello everyone. We are back. The water is on. Before we make a little critter, I want to add a little embellishment to the water that I think hopefully will be worthy. Check out the explosion of fibers I got. So these are called water and ice for reflective surfaces. These are needlepoint items that you would put through needlepoint canvas, which it looks like Ada cloth, but with really giant holes. Needlepoint canvas, you have to fit things through it. So you use bigger needles and you use blunted needles so you don't bust through your special needlepoint fibers. Generally, you do it with stuff that looks a little bit like yarn or really thick stuff. It can get way more expensive than anything you've ever imagined. One time I made a Christmas, I'll have to steal it back from my parents' house, but I made a Christmas stocking for my niece, who we are no longer in contact with, unfortunately, but I made it when she was like just born, and it is a hand-painted needlepoint canvas, and literally the canvas itself hand-painted was $275. If anyone's looking for going into the business of things to paint that cost a lot of money, needlepoint canvases is that business for you. Anyway, so I paid $275 for the hand-painted canvas that had 2 different reindeers on it. And then I spent another $300 in the wool and the fancy fibers to make it look like a fluffy reindeer, or to make the little leg wraps look like they were made of velvet. It was extraordinary how much that cost. So we were like a solid $500 and 500 hours into a stocking. So if someone ever gives you a needle-pointed stocking, do not ever get rid of it, because their soul lives in it. I have one from my evil Graham that's a penguin. I don't like penguins. I don't like birds in general. Not my favorite, like, clade of creatures. But my whole, I guess my whole nursery was penguins. So she made me a penguin one. Forever have had the penguin stocking. Don't care for it. Not gonna get rid of it. Her whole ghost is in there, and she was evil. Anyway, that's a weird story time that I'm realizing many of the YouTube subscribers do not know, that many of my patrons do. Had a weird evil grandmother. Anyway, for this purposes, to bring us back on track, wow, I managed to go that far off on a tangent in 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Today was not a day that the Adderall was working at any point. So what we're gonna do is take this real pretty flat, oh my god, it looks so fragile. To be honest, I'm a little scared. It's like the finest of braid, so I'm gonna have to glue the ends, I think. This might be a fool's errand. What was I thinking? This is the only one that even looks solid enough to stitch onto. My thought was, though, was that I could go over the lines in the fabric. That actually makes it look more more delineated. Okay, so the dark blue is too dark. Check. Add that to the $5 items I didn't need this week. What about you? Do you add anything to the party? And if not, we're just moving on. I don't have time for this. Sorry, my hands are getting all sweaty. It's the hot hours of the house. All right, that, how do we like that? I also think that might be pointless. I don't think that's adding anything. Well, son of a flipper. I bought so much of this. All right, well, it's not doing what I thought it would. And I don't know that now that I see what it's doing that I would want it to do what I thought it would. Because I don't like that, I don't think. Oh my god. Well, it's certainly flimsy. All right, that's closer, because at least it's like not, it's barely a color. But how would I get it on there? I don't think I could stitch it on there without just stitching away every bit of it. And if I couched it on, I again would cover up most of it. Huh. Well, that's an issue I didn't anticipate. Huh. This one is the best one because it's so non-colored that I think it would work everywhere for making the water look more sparkly. But how would I get it on there without having it also lose its shininess to excessive gluing? Maybe if I sewed it through one end and then just sewed it down to the other end, like one big straight stitch, would I be able to get it to lay flat? Secondarily, would it matter if I couldn't get it to lay flat? Thirdly, should I wait all the way till the end and all the stuff is on there and then go over the whole thing so that the light follows the water? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I don't think crossing over the rocks is a good idea, so we're going to scratch that idea to start with. But this is where it would be long. Very nice and hard to see. Also where it would be long. Okay, this one I don't dislike. I'm having deja vu. I feel like I have done this before. It must have been a different project. You're not insane. The multiverse exists. It's okay. Super deja vu about something not showing up and not wanting it to show up. We're going to let that one go. It's a weird day and the Adderall is not working. So I'm not sure now. And then this one is more of like a rope style. Who can pry? Who is capable of ripping these things free from their cardboard prison? Now this one I could definitely sew with. I would just have to use a grabber to pull it through. You know what? That's not terrible either. How is it out here? It's a bit much out on the edges. But here it's fine. Okay, so maybe this one for the lighter areas, the dark ones may not get anything. Which would make sense actually because there's no light making it flitter around. All right, we're going to go with that. We're going to go with this one on the long, brighter areas. And let's pray that I can pull that through without a plier. You will come back to. Anyway, let's get started with that, and then I will be off the screen practicing some of the wackadoodle stitches I've seen done, and hopefully we will make some sort of little creature. I don't know which one yet, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. All right, let's get this sparkly bit on. I do think it's... Is it worth it? Again, looks weird from not through the screen. If I put my head over the top of the screen, then it doesn't look weird. All right, well, I've rambled for long enough. Let's see if we can get moving on this. Well, hello, friends. If you hear any loud noises, it's because the cats have decided to join me, and if I lock them out, they scream even louder. So, what I wanted to show you is I learned this very cool, I will link the how to do it in the comments below. But we learned a couple of interesting things. You use a cylinder of whatever make you would like. I found all these in my box of wood. We learned that this one is too big. We learned that that one is actually too big. And this one is sort of just right. What we learned, though, is there is something of a gauge to it. So if you use just sashiko thread on this particular technique, which I don't think is actually an embroidery stitch, you are embroidering a thing you made onto something, but it's these ones, and they look like this, and the outer edge is just kind of like macrameed. That one's crocheted. That one is crocheted. Where is the non... Excuse me, can you please stop scratching that while I'm working, ma'am? Stop it. Okay. Sorry, the cat's being terrible. Some of these I also crocheted, so you could see the difference. Right now I'm struggling to tell the difference. This one's crocheted. You can see the edge on that. This one is the weird technique I'm going to show you. So all we have to do is, and I'll speed this up to get through each step. I was thinking that this color might show up better. And I made a bunch of them so that you could see the difference in the sizes of the tube. So for this one, we used... Where'd that little tiny one go that I made? That was all wonkety. That's... Nope. Is it you? Nope. Is it you? It's you. So this one I did on the medium-sized stick. And it looks pretty good. This one was done on a large size stick. And you can see that it's kind of too big and loopy. This one I did on the small size stick, but I didn't put enough loops on it, so it's struggling to make the complete circle. This was Sashiko thread that I put on the big one because I didn't know what I was doing. Sorry to stab you in the face like that. And so it did that, which is definitely a shape, but I put so many loops on that it was very hyperbolic. So that does make a very nice sculptural element. Is it what I wanted? No. But I also then went on to crochet them. But let me show you how this one is done first. And hopefully the cat will stop destroying things behind me. Oh my god, nope. Now the other one's jumping a gate. You'll hear meowing soon. So we're going to do that thing where you cast onto a knitting needle. Whatever that is. Casting on, I guess. The closest... Oh wait, I shouldn't use the big one. That's a bad idea. Why am I still holding the big one? Get out of here. No. You need the small one because it works better. So you seen the one that was this small? Maybe. Alright, well anyway. We'll see how it comes out. You guys can learn along with me as I do it wrong again. This velvet from Rainbow Gallery is amazing. If any of you have not explored the excruciatingly expensive world of needlepoint fiber as well, get ready to say goodbye to your wallet because about each 15 yards is $5 to $7. So stop it, ma'am. Please stop itching on things. I cannot hear myself over you. I have to boot a cat out of here in a minute. All right, I'm going to speed us up to get us to the end of this part of the process. Okay, I think that's enough for our purposes. So we're going to cut off a nice tail. It doesn't have to be that long. And stick that on a big ol' ribbon embroidery needle because it has a big, massive eye on it. That makes it easy to get these through. I'm also balancing my ability to work with how sweaty my hands get when I'm not directly in the view of the fan. Alright, so now we're going to take this, switch the sides, and we're going to do what's basically kind of a macrame knot, or a blanket stitch, if you will, between each one of these and go back down the line. So there's one. I didn't count going in, so I don't know why I'm counting now. But you just want to slide it right between. Can you see it? Right between there, and then catch it like you're doing, stop that, like you're doing a blanket stitch, and then go to the next one. And if you drop one, it makes kind of a weird loop, so honestly better to err on the side of caution and do them twice rather than accidentally not. Okay, I'm going to speed through doing all the rest of these because we're going to be here for a minute. Alright, so now we have our row of knots. They're not really stitches, they're more of a macrame knot, but we have a row of knots here. And I'm going to tie the little tail. Doesn't have to be too impressive here. So you can mess around with this depending on what fiber you have and what round things you have available. Now the scary part is where we, for God's sake, round objects spin. Did you know this? Okay, so now we're going to be brave and we're going to pinch it in our fingers. Come on, buddy, focus. Help me out here. Help a sister out. Ugh. You're being impossible. Oh my God, please, Lord. Can you focus, please? Thank you. My goodness. So now we're going to be brave and compress them all so they try to stay together, and then we're going to slide them off of the piece of wood and not be afraid. We're not scared. Everything's fine. And slide. Oh God. So we're going to slide it off. Put the needle through. Don't drop any loops, for God's sake. Oh God. Don't drop the loop. Okay, we got him. We got him. We got him. Pull the needle through. And now you can bring these together at the back. I got too many loops on there. Yeah, we got a little too many loops on there, but that's not a bad thing. It just means we have a different weird shape we can use on something else. But there we go. It's not as weird. But you could easily applicate that on and or leave it straight and make a little shelf. There's a bunch of different things I'm sure that you will think of to do with this batty little stitch. And then the other thing I was doing was literally just crocheting with it. And because it is fluffy and soft, but it doesn't necessarily compress too well. Sorry, I'm trying to make that look a little more plate corally. My goal is to make plate corals and have these kinds of plate corals only be way out here in the back of the thing, because if I put a plate coral in the front, in the foreground, it would have to be like this big to be to scale to ones in the background. So the foreground will get polyps. The background can have big hard corals, as we call them. So these can be balanced in like little groups, in mixed colors, and create all kinds of little shelves with them. So then the other thing I'm doing, I tried this with a 1.25. I'm suspicious it was a 1.75 based upon how much bigger this is, so I might try a 1.25, but this is the 1.25. This is the one. This makes very, very, very itty bitty little things. You could use this if you didn't close it all the way, like this one where I made too big of a magic circle. I could stick one of those big flowery sequins in the middle, or like a big crazy bead, and make it look like it was an emerging like zygote from a coral, which would be weird and gross. So if you're going to work these tiny guys, it's just normal crochet. And the funny part is I caused like major repetitive stress injuries to my already blown out TSCC tendons in my hands, and they are already obliterated from horses and falling and doing high contact sports my whole life. But it's this specific turnover motion that makes my lunate bone and my scaphoid joint dislocate from itself. And I'm chaining 3. It's that exact turning motion that kills me. And then I'm doing double crochet because that looked better than single. Tried it once both ways. And then add as many as you want. You could make it hyperbolic, you could do more out on the edge, you could make them stick out more. But it's that, oh for God's sake, it's that exact motion that makes my bone clunk in my arm, which is one of my least favorite sensations. And prior to today, I had not even picked up a crochet hook in probably a solid 7 years because it just causes me a lot of inflammation and pain. But it's not at the moment. I can hear my joints clunking with every single turn here. But with a double crochet that's not quite so tight, I don't know, it's maybe a little too loose, you can get yourself some really nice little like shelf corals going. Plate coral, shelf coral. Plate corals actually live on the bottom. Looks like a tongue, but that's actually a plate coral. A scroll coral is generally what you see that's big and plate-like in the upper reef. All right, and let's just do like maybe one more. I'm gonna pick that up so it's less sparse at the back. And I do miss crocheting. I did like an entire crocheted reef one year with my students. Anyway, so the stuff can be crocheted with. And if I wanted to, I could now chain, turn it, and now that I've got some distance because of the double crochets, unwind, thank you. Now that I've got a little distance from the center from the double crochet, and that weird one, what the hell? Oh, I put the stitch into the bottom of the last stitch. Whoops. Well, either way, we'll just give you an idea here because I can undo that. And if I throw in 2 in each stitch as a single crochet, yeah, I really wonked that one up. We'll get a little bit of a hyperbolic ripple at some point. This would also be a cool way to, did I just add a stitch there? Interesting choice there. This would also be a cool way if you were going to do like an overhead view of a reef. You could do a bunch of plate corals like this. Well, that actually kind of saved it a little bit. We can definitely layer something up on it. And get a little arch going here. But I'm going to make a bunch of these, and then hopefully we'll show you me stitching them on. But I just wanted to give you some ideas and options that you could do with your own weird fibers that you have laying about. Doesn't have to be made for fiber arts to be used for fiber arts. And then I just like, to get back to the center and make it a little sturdier, I just slip stitch down the edge of the last double crochet whenever I'm making one of these little random arches. So I'll just throw some slip stitches in until I get back to where I can tie it off. I do miss crocheting a lot. It was something I learned only for my students because they said, Miss Erica, we want to learn to crochet. And I said, that sounds really frustrating. Why don't you let me try to learn it first and then I'll be able to help you. And then that became my entire personality for roughly 10 years. So here we are now. That is how my fiber arts journey started. Anyway, so now we have this little double crochet plate coral that can protrude from any number of places. We move this enormous Flotsam and Jetsam collection here. Oh my, so many needles, Erica. I just wanted you to see all the tools I was using so you could see for yourself. So if we stand it up thusly, we can get them going like that, sticking out from the rocks thusly, and put in different colors. But you can see that there's definitely a difference between the crocheted ones and the ones done with that weird knotted thing. I think this might be better, but it's very hard to get consistently exact. So I leave it up to you to decide which one you like best. One's a little fuller than the other, and I don't really know how to use an even tinier needle. So in all fairness, I don't know if I should use a bigger one. I think more spacing would not help us. Well, anyway, I'm going to get some more of these. Oh my God. More of these done, and then come back and attach some of them with you over the speed mode. But right now I have to go charge the camera because it's about to die. All right. See you later.